Abend.
Abend. Guten Abend.
Start the first time this year. So
Yeah.
happy to see you back. Great. You have quite a troubled time. Let's not dig into it.
Yeah.
but we are back on track with what do we have tonight? We have jazz, we have electronic, we have metal, we have bootleg. Did I mention jazz? We have avant-garde, we have classical. Is there something we don't have? No, huh?
We have pop, indie, African. Yeah, like it's been. I'm very excited to share these new and upcoming releases. All of them are either coming out this week or in the next few weeks. Some of them are going to be very limited. Some should be okay, but who knows? And
we have something else new, and that's about me to say that. I think in the video description there is now a link to Stanti's coffee box, and Stanti's coffee box is important in a way because I know how much time and effort he puts into this, and every help is very, very much appreciated. This goes directly to Stanti. I put the link in the video description down below for those of you who are nice, kind, and generous. It's a help.
Take it as a tipping jar. If what we present to you helps you, if you find records that you really want that you wouldn't have found otherwise, you can tip us that way.
No, that's for you.
In that case, it's for me, but yeah. So I guess that sorry guys, we'll try to interact with you as much as we can, but we have so much to discuss. We'll probably discuss a little bit at the end. If you have questions, keep them to the end if you see that we don't have time for that. No. But we'll try to mix it in if
you have the more active part in those. I will keep an eye on the gallery and that we don't lose you completely. Yeah, we have 16. Now we have 15 plus.
15 plus a bonus. Yeah. Like we thought, like last time we did that, which was almost 2 months ago. We were talking already about how many records we suggest to you guys a year, and we realized that's a lot. That's a huge amount, and I mean, not every it's like showing candy sometimes to kids who have no pocket money, or it can be like that. It can be like that for us even sometimes. So we tried, like the first time we did it, we had 20 releases, then we had 12, and now we have 15 because it's been quite a long time. And
we did it one per week. So now we are doing only one per 2 weeks. So because it doesn't get too much. So this is in a way what Stanti does here. It's in a way the creme de la creme of not so well-known releases, like the Dark Side of the Moon 50th anniversary box, that nobody of us is in any danger of missing it, or I haven't heard about it. But those releases
with the Dark Side of the Moon box set, you don't need us to know that it exists. You need maybe Michael to tell you what he thinks about it, about the pressing, but you know about it here. This time for this round, I'm really excited because I really stand by all these records. Oh, well, someone was already nice to us, a vinyl mine. Okay. So shall we start?
Yeah, let's start. I put it on and...
Yeah. Manu Dibango. For those who were really collecting in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, he is a well-known name, especially in France.
By the way, right?
Sorry?
Quite expensive, by the way.
Well, yeah, like this record was originally released as a library soundtrack in 72. Then it was reissued in 82, in 81, also as a library soundtrack, so not meant to be commercially sold. So this is the first time it's actually commercially available outside of the second-hand market, in which the original pressing, if you want it, a good copy, it goes up to $500 or euros in that sense. So In 72, Manu, he did another library soundtrack on another French label. This is on PSI. The other one is good, but this one is great. This is funk, Afro, jazz, terribly funky. All the tracks, you feel that they love playing together. It's a great band. And it's African players and la crème de la crème of European jazz men, funk players from the early 70s. And this comes out on Digger's Factory, which is a label that comes out from like us, like a community of people who are really about discovering, uncovering the gold of the past, the treasure of the past. Hey, Bobby. And so yeah, this was actually, if you look it up, this was supposed to come out in 2019, but because of COVID, it got pushed.
Okay.
But it was sold out at the source back then already. So the only copies that will arrive in the shops are the ones that have been ordered back then, which is why it might actually get sold out very quickly, because that would, like, they took orders, pre-orders for that in 2019. So you can imagine the change in the vinyl with the vinyl market since that.
Yeah. Okay, another one.
Yeah,
quite a famous jazz musician.
Yeah, Sam Gendel has become in the past few years like a powerhouse of left field jazz. He puts out a lot of records and projects on Non-Such. Great stuff. He plays different horns. He does this collaboration also with a guitar player that I showed on my streams. I know a lot of you guys loved it. And he has the records he puts out on big labels. He has some private press stuff that he sells on his Bandcamp, limited to 100 copies, white labels. And then he has the stuff he puts out on Leaving, which is kind of in between. These records are not as difficult to get, but they get sold out very fast. And this one is really good. It's 14 tracks of guitar. It's like, not, I wouldn't say it's ambient jazz, because it just goes into every direction. So it's like him musing. He did an album at the end of last year that was vignettes, tons of like 30 tracks of like 1.5 minutes or so. This one is more like 3-4 minute long tracks, so he gets more time to get into it. But it's kind of an a la carte album, and yeah, this is really a must.
Excited about it, I can see. Okay.
And yeah, like, he's very productive, but if you miss the super duper limited stuff of his, this is the one to get.
But he's the hottest name in the jazz scene in a way, or one of the hottest.
Right now, I would say he's one of the hottest name with the drummer from The Smile.
Exactly. Yes, Nigga Nigga tapes.
Yeah, Jaco Marron from the French West Indies. This was one of the earliest releases on Enyege Enyege tapes. He had one track on a wonderful compilation about the music, the modern music, the Mayola from the French West Indies, that is on that album. And this was one of the most requested cassettes from Enyege Enyege tapes to be released on wax, and it finally happens soon now. I don't think the Bandcamp is even up for for this yet, but there's pre-orders there and there. So this is electronic, industrial, folk, weirdness, but a bit greedy. And all the tracks are kind of different, and there's, of course, you can hear the influence of the traditional music of the islands. It's just wonderful. It's not hyper modern as some of the Enyege Enyege type music is.
Some of them are also even very, very far out there when it comes to my taste. Very, where I say, oh, okay, I need some time to adjust.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Penguin. I missed a couple of you guys like already helping us out. it's difficult, but it's all appreciated. But Jaco Marron, it's the only release he has under his name that is on wax, and I think he has a few things digital, but he lives there. He's from there. It's it's the real deal, and it's just a miracle that this music gets released in the West and released on wax.
Yeah. Beautiful to have this label. I totally agree, of course.
Now, someone that some of you already know, I think, Avatar, which is obviously a play on word avatar, is the alias of one of the guys from Animal Collective. When he goes more pop in a way, it's his own little secret garden when he does his experimental pop stuff, and this one, it has been 4 years in the making. I think, if I remember correctly, it's the one I really love the first one he did, the green one. I'll play it on on Friday, but I didn't feel an urge to get the second one and the third one. This one, really, really good. There's no, it's on Domino, so there's not a huge emergency to get it, but there's a limited color variant. I know you like these, Michael. And
yes, depends if it's not golden vinyl.
No, it's not golden. It's a nice color. This one, I don't remember which one. I think it's lila or something, and they only did 200 of it. So
yeah, also, but I like, for example, this cover art. I really do like. Well made, beautiful. Like
it's really good. And it's if you guys like the Panda Beer stuff from last year with Sonic Boom, this is a bit different, but it's also connected. It's a little bit more like what's the name of this guy that got canceled that does also kind of left field pop? He's done tons of records. He has a funny name as well. His name escapes me, but he was at the Trump rally of January the 6th, which got him canceled.
Okay, he was there. Okay.
Yeah, not Avatar, but like Avatar. The name escapes me right now. Someone in the peanut gallery helps me. I would say it's kind of similar to that, but better.
What?
Ariel Pink, exactly. Thank you, Under the Bunk. It's kind of like Ariel Pink, but from the Animal Collective perspective. Laurie Golston and Greg Kelly. We already talked about Laurie Golston. She hasn't been very active in the past few years, and last year we showcased one of her albums that I only recently got because it was very badly distributed. And now there's a new one coming out, I think in February or March, and it's amazing. It's 4 tracks of her in duo with a guitar player and saxophone player, and they use pedals, lots of effect, but you get really lots of, the nice deep reverberation of the shallow strings, and she's great. Again, for those who don't know her, she was the cellist on the Nirvana MTV Unplugged album, which was her first official recording or release. She's from Seattle, and so it's like modern classical music, but with now that I said Seattle, I don't want to say a grungy feeling, but like with a lot of attitude, at least. Not that she's like playing crazy.
Do you think she's carried this grungy attitude and style over to her new stuff? Do you think that?
I think that in all the recordings I have from her, like they just become better and better, and there is this kind of not lo-fi sensibility, but like that she embraces the psychedelic aspect of noise, because when you play the instrument and you don't just play the notes, but she plays the instruments, then you get the noise of the instrument, and she really puts it forth in the music, and it's great, and she's amazing at it. And it's good to see her to hear her in the context of a conversation with someone else. Also, it's the first time I hear that from her in a band playing with other, yes, but now as a like modern classical or modern jazz kind of conversation, that is really something.
Yeah, the next release we talk about is one of my 3 highlights. You figured out. I can't wait for that one. Reentrainer.
Yeah.
On
Ryan
Nege
Tremor,
Nege tapes, not an expected guest on Nege Nege Reentrainer.
well, in a way not, but so I'll tell the story a little bit. Ryan Tremor, I discovered him, I think, in 2014 or 15 with his very first release. And back then, it was for me the most groundbreaking electronic music on the dance music side of things. It was like when I was doing personally very analog music, he totally embraced the digital aesthetic of music. It was hyper modern, hyper rhythmical. And then we learned that he was actually the son of Mark Fell from S&D, which makes total sense. Mark Fell, who is basically making the most avant-garde kind of variation on the Otaker Aphex Twin type of music. But the music of Ryan was also very much influenced by the Chicago juke footwork, like very fast, very rhythmical, hectic, and lots of syncopation. And the first 2 EPs he did were revolutionary. Then he did an album for Planet Mu that was okay, but not as strong as this, because basically he probably needed to get some new influence, some new influx to put his own take on things in a new perspective, which is when he got invited to the first Enyege Tape Festival in Uganda in 2019. And he got not just invited to play there, he got invited to stay a month there to do a workshop with Ocean James, whom I didn't know before.
But that's one question. From those Ugandan festivals, there are records out, right?
Yeah, but this is the first really proper album that is a product of that culture, that culture clash or culture merging in a way. And this, I think I'm saying something wrong. I think it might be from the 2018 edition, because I actually met Ryan in a festival in the fall of 2019 in Sheffield, and he told me about this being an upcoming release. So he has been working on this for 4 years or 3 years to make it right, to make it perfect. And because I think that his first 2 EPs are perfect, I think his 2 first albums are not perfect. So I expected this to be, like a record I will pick the best tracks and ignore the rest. From what I've heard so far, it's not like that. It's really going in many different directions, either more to the African music, either more to the really extreme aesthetic of digital electronic music, and everything in between.
Okay, nice one.
Yeah,
for sure. We have another one. Düsseldorf.
The resident DJ of your favorite club.
Yeah.
Le Salon des Amateurs.
Toulouse-Lautrec.
Which is obviously a play on words on the French painter Toulouse-Lautrec. And so Toulouse-Lautrec used to be in Kreidler, who we talked about. And he's been in many other bands, but for now, I guess at least 15 years.
He was into Rococo Road too, right?
I don't think so. Maybe.
I'm quite sure, but you are right. I'd say yes, but maybe not.
Schneider was into Rococo, but this is Detlef Weinrich, and I think, wow.
Doesn't matter.
Nowadays, he lives in Paris. He has found a new posse there. People I used to hang out with in France before I left. So he arrived when I left. But actually, I remember giving him a tour of the Paris record shops in '97 when he was touring for Kreidler, and then invited him to my radio show. But this is his 4th album. But in my opinion, this is in a way his 2nd one, because this feels like an album, not just a compilation of tracks. And I to be honest, I haven't listened to the whole of it yet. I listened to the first 6 tracks and I was sold. I was like, Jesus, this is so good. I can't wait to get the whole of it now. So this is left field disco, left field electronic music, sometimes ambient, sometimes a little bit like children music, but with an attitude. It's joyful, clever, and relevant, and always also urgent music in a way. But there's joy in it. It's not just like being experimental for the sake of that.
Maybe this is now a good time again to make it quite clear. It's not easy to get on your list you pick out for our streams, right? I mean, sometimes far more than 100 releases you go through, and you take 10, 12, 15, or even more.
No. Far more than for this. There's more. I would say there's more than 3,000 releases, more than 4,000. And I made a selection of 70 releases, and I picked up just eliminated everything that, like, okay, this is not good enough, or this I've already talked too much about, or blah blah blah.
Okay, so it's not easy to get on the list. I can say that, right?
Yeah. Well, it's just us, but yeah. For example, this guy, I knew his name, but I have never put too much attention with. It's a guy from Sierra Leone in Africa. I think he lives in New York. He's put out some stuff. He has labels where he releases quite good stuff. Like, I think he put out Africa. Space Africa. I think he put out stuff by Space Africa.
Okay.
But this is a kind of a different record from the stuff that he's been doing before. If you guys liked the Emeka Egobo record, I'm horrible. I remember the name. Let me double check that we talked about. That I know a lot of you guys really liked Emeka Ogbo. Yeah, this is very similar, but more connected with the music than the field recording. There's a little bit of field recording. There's more on the Emeka Ogbo. On this one, it's more towards the ambient, the folk, the mixture, the what I call global music. But it's beautiful. It's really, it's a little bit more delicate. There's not that much like drums, like post club drums or whatever. But yeah, it's also, I think, the first record that it's on Peak Oil, which I believe is a label from maybe Seattle. It's the first time he puts out the record there. Peak Oil used to release some of the best stuff by Strategy, who's a great like electronic dub, ambient folk, like synth wizard guy. It's a great label. So for me, that's a seal of quality. It doesn't mean that everything they put out is good, but in this case it is. So,
record number 9. Now we go a little into the metal area, right?
So a metal record that I'm not even sure has guitars. Probably has. Sightless Pit is the second album by this duo, which features tons of featurings. They produce the Lingua Ignota stuff. They are the guys behind the Body also, and this one is like the vocals on it mostly are from females, and they are like super harsh, like screaming black metal, but with also like these women, they're good singers. They know what they're doing. It's powerful, it's harrowing, and the music, you could say, it's kind of like a motoric. Imagine if Suicide or Neue were a black metal band.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like that.
Do we still have the Lange Gerade?
Yeah, guns. There's also dub aspects to the production, heavy dub aspects to that. There's also aspects of how should I put it? Also hip hop, like weird, like if you know stuff like Death Grips, it's not 100 miles away from Death Grip, but the main aesthetic of it is like a take on metal that is still quite new. Like for me, who have very little patience with nostalgia, this is metal that makes me think about something that is current, and not about current metal, but current in what is going on in the world, in music, etc. So this is, yeah, if you are curious about metal but are not at all interested about the theatrics, this is a really interesting album to experience.
Here we go. Now, in my opinion, the most beautiful jacket of the evening.
So this is also the bootleg. Let's be honest about it. Or VHP, if you look at their catalog, it's weird. They don't have any website, so yeah, it's a bootleg website. This is extraordinary. If for the people who know that record or who have seen me play it on my streams, there's a record by Dollar Brand called Hajj, the Journey, on I forget the name of the label, Curioso, I think, or something like that. There's a long track on it featuring like 12 players, including Don Cherry, and it's one of the best spiritual jazz track ever, in my opinion. This one has a version of this, but for a quatuor, and with the best of it, because you have the two guys, Dollar Brand, Abdullah Ibrahim, with Don Cherry, Nana Vasconcelos, and Johnny Diani from South Africa as well. And there's tons of compositions by Don Cherry, by Brand. I think there's a few by others, and it's extraordinary good, lush, welcoming, joyful, spiritual jazz that gets you in a trance, also trancey spiritual jazz. And it's a great session that was never released in any official form. So there you go. And that label, from my experience, I have two releases of them. The sound is usually pretty good. They source good stuff.
The list of the records, by the way, you will find this list on Stanti's Friday stream. So you can also discuss with him over there. And that's what we will do now. We will put the list of the records with links on the Friday stream.
Yeah, I've made
as I did tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah. I did for the earlier stream a Juno playlist a Juno chart for all of these in order, so you can easily find them after the fact, because they're all available on Juno, thankfully.
Except one.
Except one, the last one.
But this one, luckily, is also available over there. Amazing.
Yeah, maybe I think you are more familiar than me with Kukina Povera.
I wouldn't go that far, but they always have been quite high on my list. I mean, this is stuff, in my opinion, really worth getting into. Come on, you are the man for the description here. It's left field. It's still attainable, but always very, very special and very different in a way.
It's kind of global music again. That's a word I like to use to talk about that, when there's like so many influence inside that go well together, that like it's kind of pointless to say one of the classical traditional styles. Kukina Povera, she's a very good folk singer that makes great music, like influenced by Eastern folklore, Italian folklore, and she uses electronics in that as well. Ben Vince, he does ambient music. He does lots of sound design for Hollywood, for the BBC and stuff like that. He does also soundtracks like that. And this is the first collaboration they do together. This is the first collaboration she does as well. This came out as a cassette last summer, very limited run. And this was so good that the label realized there's a lot of demand for that. And I would say that the cover is very, actually in this case, like the music makes me feel like the cover. There's something very soothing or calming, but also very, very of stature, of something that you feel there's history behind it. There is something going on there.
It looks like a painting from the not Renaissance, a little later, but very beautiful, right?
And this comes out on Ecstatic, which has released the records from Romance and a few others. Like, it's becoming a label that is really good at marketing. Like, they're, in an unfortunate way, because this is really like when they release something that is good, then it gets sold out, and then it is really a case of buy now or cry later for that label. Sometimes they put
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we are getting dark and cold.
Getting cold. Yeah, this is a record by Thomas Könner that came out on CD in the mid-2000s, if I remember correctly.
First time on vinyl, right?
Yeah, first time. And the CD was 3 tracks, the 3 tracks on 3 sides, and the 4th track is an unreleased piece of him that is completely unreleased, but that was his most popular performance that he performed around Europe. So even only for that, it's very good to get this. But this is, if you're into ambient of the most mineral nature, like when you hear the elements creating music, this is really the music of coldness, but in a way that is very stark and like that will make you feel small, but also impressed by that, if you're into that sort of thing. Thomas Könner is also part of a duo called Porterix that does some of the best techno, true minimal techno, with lots of influence by dub music from Jamaica. And he was one of the main guys at Hardwax, the famous shop in Berlin. And he is also, there's an aspect of his that is interesting, which is that he is part of the queer culture, which he doesn't showcase in a way that he uses it. No. But he does a lot of performance where he uses movies that are self-destructing while he plays them. He has lots of I would say he's a German counterpart to Ter Tamlitz, the American electronic artist, noise artist, who also does dance music under another name.
Yeah, for me, nobody else embodies, at least here in Germany, dark ambient like Thomas Könner. I think he's the German dark ambient artist in my.
I would say that but the thing is that it is ambient, but it's coming from his own perspective. He's not trying to do ambient. He's trying to do the music and the sounds of the elements. He's a sound alchemist. It's really about that. And I would say that if you rationalize that as ambient, I would say that the top 3 names in that kind of music are Biosphere, Def Prod, and Thomas Könner.
Here, let's make a brief interruption. Here's a question from Daniel. Maybe you'd like to get into this. Would you say that most of these artists change musical direction every 4th album to stay current and relevant, make them more comfortable?
It's a very good question. I would say that no, not most, but most of these artists are concerned with challenging themselves. So sometimes you don't realize that you're not challenging yourself anymore, and you start to do stale music. Sometimes you have a fan following, and you don't want to risk losing it.
Important.
No, there are different dynamics. Most of these artists, I think, try to escape that. Sometimes they manage to still find challenge in one thing. Thomas Könner is a bit like that. He can do lots of ambient albums. Personally, I didn't like his most recent production. He has some releases that were.
I have difficulties to it. To be quite blunt, it was a bit boring.
For me, the last 2 he did were I didn't get them. After La Barca, I go back. Like, fortunately, they released a lot of stuff that was from the past, but never on vinyl. That I'm happy with. But the new stuff. But for example, I would say that. Yeah, like obviously the Ryan Triner when he does that, he goes to Africa and does an album with someone else, and like, of course, he's really challenging himself, and I wouldn't say directly change, but like it's an evolution, and it's one where the goal, the challenge is always to not forget yourself, to still if you had something valuable in the beginning, to manage to keep it and just to make it nurture.
Mm-hmm. Let it bloom, blossom.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, back to our topic.
Oh yeah. A few people will know by name, Hearn Gadbois. He was in a psychedelic rock band in the 80s that was kind of interesting, but not popular at all. But in the late 70s, early 80s, he traveled to India, learned classical Indian music, learned also how to build instruments in India, and then proceeded to create his own whole orchestra, like instruments. And from then on, he became a very in-demand percussionist for the likes of Patti Smith, Susan Vega, lots of big 80s, 90s pop musicians and pop singers. And all the while, he was doing his own experiments, having a track on a compilation there and there. And this is his own music. And this is the first time you ever get like it on vinyl under his name. And it's a collection of tracks between the early 80s and 2020, if I remember correctly. I think it's even in the name. It's well, yeah. He also so he collaborated with Meredith Monk, with Yoko Ono, Patti Smith, Susan Vega, the master musicians of Yuyaka, with Wim Wenders. Like it's you know, these guys. Yeah, a very good resume. He's a guy who's been around, basically, who's seen the world, who's thought about it, and it's the first comprehensive package of his music, which is, I would say, it's traditional folk, jazz, spiritual jazz, fourth world, percussion, and I wouldn't say it's specifically from one country. It's his own take of the world, the fourth world of John Hassell, in a way. So it's quite, I think that label is from Australia. They did an amazing compilation of a very, like, they release stuff from all directions also. They're not specialized in world music, ethnic music. They also do like weird dance music, whatever. And it was only someone who had passion for this could put together a project like that.
Is it me or is it Stunty?
What?
Here we are back. We're back.
Oh, okay. There was so quickly. I'll just add show one last time this, because we talked. Yeah, Aravis. Strange newspaper, says Zeb. Okay. Oh no, how do I do that? Okay, so the next one is the first vinyl releases from this trio. They had 2 digital releases, one each year. It's the work of 3 guys. I only knew one of them, which is what's his name again? Toki Foucault. It's a Russian guy who had some release on a Canadian label called Silent Season, which is like a very classy label when it comes to electronic music and ambient music that is also very spiritual, not new age, but spiritual. And he has really some of the deepest pads I've ever heard. And this, him and 2 friends, they gather every summer for a week and jam together in the forest in East Russia. And then they edit it, and this time they thought it was so good enough that they would actually not just release it digitally, they release it on their own label on vinyl, and it's great. It's really good electronic music in the truest sense of electronic music, in the sense that it could have been made philosophically in the earliest days of electronic music and today as well. And it's, of course, it's kind of
And
leaning
here
towards
we go
ambient,
again.
but I would say in the same way that Tangerine Dream or Amundule can be ambient also. It's more electronic than Amundule, but it's closer to that kind of electronic music than to Autechre, of course. Oh, Patrick, sorry, I think that Michael is gone. Can someone confirm? Can you guys see me, or is it Michael you can see? Someone tells us in the peanut gallery. Who is frozen, Michael or both of us? Ah, there you. Oh,
Kick me out.
okay.
German internet. I'm very, very sorry.
Okay, so we solved it.
We saw. Okay, yeah, we solved. Of course. What can we do? Technical problems.
Yeah. See, I'm in the middle of the forest on an island in Sweden, and it works.
Yeah, but that's Germany. You know, it's so annoying and so embarrassing. But what can I do? But you, I hope you managed to.
Yeah. It just took me a little while to notice that that you were gone. So
I'm quite surprised that you realized that I'm gone.
No, I did. Okay, so we're getting close to the end.
Yes. Last but not least.
So this record is quite special. Nathan Salzberg is not a name that I hear mentioned often, if ever. He does have quite a few releases behind him, though. I guess his resume is bigger than his releases. He has done some collaborations with Bonnie Prince Billy, but he is the curator of the Alan Lomax archive, which is the greatest archive of how would I put it, like American music from the past, from the 78s, and I don't mean the year, I mean the 78 records. So lots of blues, field recordings of like the life in America in the 20s, 30s, 40s, even before that. And he has records he does himself with playing guitar, stuff like that. He has a series, which this is the third volume of, where he uses these archival recordings, which he has exclusive access to. No one has access to these but him. And he works them a bit like the Caretaker does. So he makes hypnagogic music with it, looping it in a very beautiful and delicate manner. And then he improvises with guitars or other instruments over it. And it's beautiful. It's really haunting music, very, kind of, it can make you feel a bit like some of the Boards of Canada music, nostalgic of a past that never really actually existed because you created it.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And the first two volumes of this are like I think he puts them out on his own label, and they are the most successful releases of his. Like the first one.
Are the first two available also? Or
no, they sold out a long time ago, and they fetch. They're expensive. They're not crazy expensive, but like they will make you. It will sting a little bit, but this one is like there. I would highly recommend checking the. I think the track number 13, which is not the 13th track on it. There's only like 6 tracks, but the one named 13, which is almost like a raga-like track, like where he really takes his time, and it's beautiful. The rest is great as well, but that's the one that really sold it to me.
Of course, I need to know now. Do you have the first 2 editions of this series?
I only have one.
Why?
Because I missed him in the first place, and I'm starting to realize I need the other one as well. So maybe you guys with your
So the sting. Yeah, that you're right. So the sting is also on your side.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah,
What a
I think
great
it's
name. Kochen will gelernt, will uns sagen. That's a great name. It means cooking should be learned. Yeah, cooking should be learned.
Oh, and thank you, Frank, who just replied to I called for help. The last record we're going to show today is only available in one place.
Question before you go into it. Come on.
Oh,
Let's
okay,
answer the question. If there are some, let's answer
them. I own a few Steve Hillage records. I'm not a fan of him. I like him, so I'm not super. I don't remember all the names. I'm not sure I have that one. I don't think. I think most of the Steve Hillage stuff I have is either with Gong or in his solo stuff from the early '80s, not '70s. But I trust you, Liam. If you mention it, I need to go check it out.
See, even Zap gives his approval.
Belisario Sonic asks if we love jazz, traditional jazz. Like for me, I would say that
traditional jazz scene in Germany. Are there many jazz clubs near you? Yeah, of course, near is relative. There are quite some. Some only play Dixieland, and then I run. But yeah, there is a scene and quite an elaborate scene. But I have my difficulties with nowadays jazz sometimes.
For me, jazz from I would say is at least more than a third of my collection of about 12,000 vinyl records, and apart from a few exceptions, select exceptions like some Charlie Parker, like my jazz collection starts in '57, not before. And Pat's Radio, the Steve Hillage Black and White.
Sorry.
That one I have, and I love that one, Pat. I think it's a pretty fun record. Nathaniel, depends on it's difficult. Like, tell me which kind of music you're the most into right now, and I tell you then which one. But yeah, we still have one record to show before we start to discuss. And the one that is not on Juno so far, it's only on Soundome so far, understandably because it's out on Algamargan, which is kind of sponsored by Soundome. Gavin Bryars, a famous modern classical composer, famous for the sinking of the Titanic on Brian Eno's label, very close collaborator of Brian Eno in the mid-late 70s. He's maybe the biggest name in modern classical minimalism of the UK. He's done also electronic music. This is a new composition of his from 2020, which is insane since he's 80 years old. It's a blessing. And a better blessing is that it's actually really good. In my opinion, from what I've heard, it's one of the absolute best works he's ever done. And it's really going between modern classical and experimental music. So I love it.
Did you mention how many copies they do on this?
400.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful package as well. Yeah. Very, really beautiful.
Once more.
And so it's coming out soon, I think. For me, it's bizarre in a way, because usually these records are archival recordings, and in this case it's it's actually a new recording. The other name of the duo there is the guy who did the visual aspect of that performance, because it was also a performance. And yeah, this is a blessing to get such like good, still relevant new music from a great guy from the past. Like the other day, I was talking with Rev, I think, about Steve Reich, and we both agreed that for us, yeah, we love him, but we also dislike a lot of his stuff because, like, I mean, he hasn't stayed relevant for his whole career, and in the past 20, 30 years, he's been doing good stuff, but stuff that is not as crucial as the stuff from before, which is understandable. Gavin Bryars, with this instance, is really surprising me. Hello, Bogdan.
Romania.
Yeah, I have some Romanian music coming up in the near future.
Okay. Yeah, so you once more did it, Stunty. Chapeau. Amazing. Thank you very, very much.
And now we need to get these records ourselves, Michael.
We do.
And
will you get them? I will
sorry?
get them. I will get them all.
And but to answer Nathaniel, if I was to pick one right now, I shouldn't do. But the one that I'm the most excited personally right now, which is different than a year, an hour ago.
I know which one. If I only had one choice, I know which one I'd take.
The one I would want to be listening to tonight by myself would be the Sam Gendel one.
Show it. Okay.
Which has been out on cassette since December, I think. But the vinyl is coming out, I believe, in early March or maybe February. I'm not sure.
Okay, I would have expected another title that you choose.
No, but I explain now, tonight, for the evening.
Okay. Because this would be my choice if I only get
this
one.
Will be so exciting to really get into, and this is the kind of records that, like, for me, I only need one track on it because I've already noticed, or like when I surveyed it, like. These are not. It's not just one type of tracks of songs, so it will. I love records when they crave time for you to really investigate the corners of the tracks, and because they will surprise you, they will create stuff that doesn't exist already. So it's basically like discovering the grammar of a foreign language a little bit. One that you already have familiarity with, but still.
Right. Okay. Stunty. Tomorrow you will do your stream?
Yep.
Tomorrow you will have the list on your channel?
Yep.
Cool.
And you will maybe stop by if you don't fall asleep by 8 o'clock in the evening, which you should do these days.
At 8 o'clock in the evening, I won't sleep, no. Yeah, thank you very much, Santi. That was, like Angelo said.
Yeah, like, by all means, still you can comment on the video. We reply as much as we can, and we do. And yeah, welcome tomorrow. We'll do that again in about
12,000 records on Discogs.
Almost. I would say, like, I constantly discover records that I missed, I forgot, or for some reason that should be there. But yeah, it's and it's growing.
Of course, it's growing. What else?
So tomorrow you will have links where you can get it in the UK, from the UK, everything in the same place. Obviously, if you are patient, and you don't necessarily want to get them all, I would suggest you go on HHV in Germany because their shipping is quite good and their price are usually okay. There's also Broomcat. There's also there's different places for these. And in the US, there is a lot of these will arrive, I guess, at Force Exposure and other places. It might take some time. There are solutions. All of these are available right now. None of them are sold out. Some are sold out.
They won't be until tomorrow evening, I think. They won't.
Maybe.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Thank all of you who watched us. And we will see us now regularly again, as there are no
COVID,
Christmas and no COVID. Let's hope.
no death in the family, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we have tons of other stuff to show you guys.
Yeah.
With Michael.
Yeah. That we.
And then Bosch now in 3 months.
Yeah, Den Bosch.
Yeah.
Den Bosch.
And so thank you for your generosity. The tipping jar is there for the guys who weren't here live, and I'll see you tomorrow. And you'll see what is your next video, Michael?
I will do a new records video tomorrow. I will probably do the John Cale, the Nimrod Green Day 25th, the new Tangerine Dream Raum. And then there is coming a new tone poet, a new acoustic sounds. So it starts rolling again. And let's see what I cover in the videos.
All right.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.